Shabbat shalom, everybody. So nice to join together. Um, so the Torah portion that we're heading into for next week is always a really interesting one, and it involves a prophet whose name is Balaam. And Balaam is sent by King Balak, who's one of the enemies of the Israelite people. And he's sent by Balak to curse the Israelite people. So I'm actually want to start just by reading you from the Torah a section. And what I'm going to start with are words of Balaam himself. How can I curse whom God has not cursed? How can I condemn those when Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh has not doomed or not condemned? From the heads of the rocky peaks I see them. From the heights I view them. I see a people who live apart and do not consider themselves one of the nations, who can count the dust of Jacob or number even a fourth of Israel. Let me die the death of the righteous, and may my final end be like theirs. Then Balak said to Balaam, what have you done to me? Here I brought you to curse my enemies, and instead you have blessed them. So I think there's something so interesting just in this very small section of the Torah. First of all, I mean, whenever I read this piece of the Torah and remember the story of this prophet who is sent with this like instruction to go say something really nasty. And then he opens his mouth with like, actually at the beginning, he has an intent to follow through. And he opens his mouth, and instead of words of curse, words of blessing just pour forth from his mouth. And, I just wish that would happen to all of us whenever we had, myself included, whenever we had the intent to say something negative that, oops, all of a sudden words of blessing would pour forth. I think it would be a really nice thing to happen. I don't think that happens to most of us. But I think there's something really interesting in here because Balaam says, from the heads of the rocky peaks, I see them. So Balaam is actually elevated and he's looking down on the people. And I think that there is something that's being told to us about perspective. And that when we step back, and in this case, look from above, that we have a greater perspective and can look upon others with a more gentle eye. So I think it's perhaps maybe even an instruction for us to take when we find ourselves judging unfavorably, judging others or even ourselves unfavorably, just to take a step back and to allow ourselves maybe some sort of bird's eye view of the situation, and seeing if we can bring a gentleness into our sight and our mind and our hearts and souls, and to ask ourselves, is there a way that we can bless? And then I think another thing that is interesting for us to examine when we think about this Torah portion and our ability to cause harm with words, when we speak words of curse in the language of this Torah portion, if we speak ill of someone or we speak out of anger towards someone, or even when we do those actions within our hearts and they don't actually even make it into our mouths, I think there's a really good question for us as to who it is that we're actually damaging. Because our intent is to, when we do that, might be to lash out and hurt another person. But by doing so, we also damage our own souls or anyone else who might overhear, be a part of that action. So my blessing for us this week is to offer ourselves the ability to place ourselves on the heads of the rocky peaks, place ourselves in those high places where we can allow a gentler eye and an eye that allows us to move forward with words of blessing for ourselves and for all of those around us. So thanks, everybody, and Shabbat Shalom. I'm going to turn it over to Amit.
Thank you, Kerith. Thanks for that teaching and the sharing of the teaching. Okay. Today we're going to start in a standing posture. So if you could make your way to standing. And stand in mountain pose. We're going to work with mountain pose a little bit today. And first, just stand in a comfortable position without really applying any action in the posture. Instead, just relaxing into the posture. And rather than focusing on your actions, try to connect with your awareness and notice how the weight is dropping into the floor through the soles of your feet. Notice if your body is stable or is it moving around a little bit, which is natural, it's okay. There's no need to even correct it, just accepting however the body is in this relaxed version of mountain pose. And if it's moving from side to side a bit, that's fine. No, just acceptance there. No judgment about how it should be or any of that. Then notice with your awareness whether the weight is more on the left foot or the right foot. Again, resist the urge to correct. And just be aware and accept. Notice if the weight is more in the front or the back of the foot. And from your awareness and acceptance of just how the body is at the moment in this posture, we'll now add a few specific actions to help bring the body into a more stable and comfortable state. So first make sure that your heels are slightly out and the outer edge of the feet are parallel to the edges of the mat. The feet can be together, that's fine. Big toes can touch, just the heels slightly out. And bending your knees, lift all your toes up. And press down, release your pinky toes only to the floor. And pressing down on the big toe mounds, the center of the heels, and the little toe mounds. Begin to straighten your legs and activate your thighs to lift the kneecaps up. And lift your sternum up to extend your spine. And straightening your arms, turn your palms towards the front wall. Do an external rotation. Arms drop your shoulder blades down. And if possible, drop the big toes and little toes on the floor. Keep the other 3 toes lifted. Spin the inner groins back slightly and activate your thighs to lift the kneecaps up. Drop your tailbone slightly. Lift the lowest back rib in the back body to lengthen the back wall of your abdomen. Head neutrally over your spine and chin slightly down. Then hold your body with your actions. And now notice how the weight is dropping in your feet. Perhaps a little different. Hold your body with your actions. And connecting with your awareness. Okay, and then take your hands out to the side, palms face in line with your shoulders, palms facing up. Drop your shoulder blades down and then take your hands all the way up. You can bend the elbows slightly and work the actions from the floor up, like we just did. Feet, thighs, extension of the spine, and then bending the elbows slightly. Turn the triceps in, which means the bony part of the elbows will come in towards each other to help widen your collarbones. Drop your shoulder blades down your back and lift the thumb side of your wrist up to straighten your elbows. And once you apply the actions, hold the body there, and again, just connect with the awareness and accept. Maybe there are some differences between left and right. Maybe one shoulder feels different from the other. Become aware of it and accept. Don't even try to correct immediately. Accept the differences within your body between the different sides, front and back. That's just how it is. One side is not right and the other wrong. It's just how it is. If you want to bring more balance, do so with an attitude of love and gentleness, not out of a sense of right and wrong. If you feel one side is more open, more light, and you want to take the other side towards that, do so with an attitude of love. And gentleness. Okay, and we are going to bind the arms behind. So release the left hand behind you, take it up your back, the left hand. So bend the elbow, take the left hand up your back, yeah. And then take the right hand up, straight up, spin the tricep in, and relax. Bend your elbow and just try to clasp if you can reach. Otherwise, wherever it reaches naturally. And once again, try not to struggle just because you want to clasp. So no need to struggle. Just land where it lands naturally. And then maybe a little more if you want, as long as it's done with a sense of an attitude of gentleness and love. The key to the practice is awareness and acceptance. Judgment often comes from a thinking of how things should be. So if you're not able to clasp, but you think you should be able to clasp, then there will be a self-judgment that, okay, I should do this at any cost. That's where it moves from being loving to being not so loving anymore. And go to the other side, please. And invariably, in this posture, the two sides will be slightly different. So if you compare the two, which is natural, the human mind will do that. Well, I could clasp on the other side. I'm not able to do this on this side. And I should be able to do it. Why not? So instead of getting into that way of thinking, just relax. And wherever you're able to be in a comfortable, loving way to your own body, accepting the limitations or the differences between sides. Not, in fact, not even trying to correct is a practice within itself. Not comparing between sides, not achieving, restraining that, just accepting is a practice within itself. A practice of self-acceptance and self-love. Awareness and acceptance. And release, please. And a lot of the times, we often extend our own, how we interact with ourselves. we extend those ways of being and thinking in our interactions with others. So it starts with your own practice and attitude towards your own self. It starts with being gentle, being aware, being accepting, self-acceptance, self-love in what you do. A good place to do this is in the yoga practice, because when you practice it here, you can then, it'll affect the way you perceive others as well. Where you can extend that positive way of perceiving yourself towards others. Okay, more awareness, more acceptance. We're going to do a forward fold. Let's see. Looks like you have a chair there, right, Laura? And Debbie, well, you have your chair with you, Debbie? Could you grab the chair? No, the other way, Debbie. Turn it the other way. Yeah. Yeah. And then let's see, Laura, can you turn the chair so it faces you? The seat of the chair faces you? Yes. And have your brick on the seat of the chair. Debbie, if you don't mind, could you please, if it's possible, turn your camera up? So
this way?
Yes, correct. That's better.
Okay.
That's fine. That's fine. Yeah. Good. We're going into a forward fold here. So standing about a foot or two away from the chair. Stand with your feet hip distance apart this time. And once again, heels slightly out so the outer edges of your feet are parallel to the edges of the mat. You're standing in mountain pose. It's a prep for all the standing postures. And relax there and take your hands above your head, just like you did earlier. This time you're going into a fold from here, so relax the hip joint and keep the spine long as you bring the torso parallel to the floor and release your hands to the seat of the chair. Yeah, so try to put your hands towards the back of the chair, Laura. Yeah, and bring your torso down more. I can't make out how close you are, but yeah, probably a foot and a half away. Yeah, because you're going to take the head to the brick. Yes. Now, before you take the head to the brick in the half position, lengthen your sternum forward, lift your sit bones up, and activate your thighs to open the back of the legs and to open the hip joint. Stay there. And then relax your action in your thighs and relax the hip joint. And take your hands a little more forward, maybe bring your elbows to the seat of the chair. And release the forehead to the brick. Now you have to watch that the hips don't move too forward. So Debbie, take your hips back just about 3-4 inches back. So that the weight comes on the heels. Your elbows can be on the seat, or you can slide your hands forward so the elbows come off and stay more like downward dog arms too, either way. And here we are opening the back of the legs. Now, once again, if you have tight hamstrings or the back of your hips are tight, you'll feel some restriction there in how low you can go in this, as well as how much comfort and ease you can find in this. So first become aware of what the natural state is of the back of your legs and hips. Some of us have tighter hamstrings and hips for a variety of reasons. Reasons not being important at the moment. More important is just being aware of what the present condition is and just accepting that this is how it is for me. My body at the moment. Accepting even the state of your hamstrings, regardless of what the reasons may be for that. And then, in an action of love and gentleness, just relaxing those muscles, coaxing them to relax gently. On the exhalations. Without creating any harm, which means you don't try to go too low, too deep, too much. Just where is comfortable for you. Good. Inhale. Come up, please. Exhale. Release your hands. Namaste. It's quite interesting to work on these aspects of awareness and acceptance with the body in the postures, because it's just inevitable that some parts of our body is tighter or weaker, or other parts are stronger and more open and relaxed, and it's just how it is. That's just the nature of things. So even just developing that skill of noticing the differences, noticing the reality, being aware of it, it's really something that you can develop quite a lot in the physical practice of yoga with your own body, without even getting into the mind yet. Of course, you can do it with that too, but just with the body. And so in today's practice, in every posture, just focus on what you notice. Focus on just becoming aware of your body, where it's tight, where it's more open, the differences between left and right. And rather than saying things like, oh, I should be able to go all the way down, and all those things, which are judgments, I should be more open, I should be like this, those are all judgments, right? So what we want to develop is just an awareness. This is how it is. In this posture, I have some restriction in my left hip, for example. That's just how it is. I'm aware of it. and I accept it. I don't even have to, there's nothing wrong with it. There's not a thing of, oh, my left hip is tight and therefore it's wrong. There's nothing wrong with it. That's just how it is. And if I want to help it open, I can do so with some specific actions, and I can do so with some love if I want to help it open, and with some gentleness. So that's all. If you can just focus on that awareness and acceptance, and not even correction, it's not correcting, it's moving to a more positive state through love, self-love in this case. A very simple, easy, effective practice in the physical postures that can help you develop the skill in how you interact with yourself. And once you develop that skill with yourself, you'll see that it will, it'll translate a different perception when you interact with others too. Okay, so let's continue. So you can keep that as a focus in the practice today. We're going to work to triangle next. And let's see, you can move the chair to the side. And Laura, if it's possible for you to, I don't know if you have the space, I'm not sure, but if you can turn the mat horizontal, facing the camera. Yeah, and if you can take it back a bit, that would be great, because then I can see what's going on. Yeah. And stand at the center of your mat, please. We're going to triangle. You can, if you have your bricks, you can place the bricks at the back edge of the mat, just in case you need it. And step your legs apart. Take your hands apart. And point your right foot out. Relax into triangle. As you take the reach with the right hand forward, let the hips move back. Relax into it and release the right hand wherever is comfortable for you. So even if it's on your leg or the brick, make sure that the wrist is on something. So it's not on the air. Yeah, just like that. On the leg is fine. And once you land, let it be relaxed when you land. Don't try to apply the actions directly. Just land wherever you land in the posture. And then notice, become aware, where do you feel the restriction? It could be in the right hip and right hamstring. It could be in your shoulders. First, become aware. Then accepting where the restriction is. Then when you apply the action to take it to a more positive state, do so with gentleness and love. So let's see, Laura, come up a little bit. So take your hand off the brick, put it on your leg. Yeah, and come up a bit. A little higher. Yeah, good. Yes. Good. That will release some of the load on the front leg and hip. Good. Inhale, come up, please. Exhale, change the direction of your feet. Relax the hips. Sway the hips back as you reach forward with your left hand. Left hip will move. Move back. Bring the right hip forward slightly. So turn the hips slightly, bring the right hip slightly towards the front, opposite direction, Laura. Take the right hip towards the front. Turn the hips a little bit. Turn it. Yes, like that, correct. Yes. Now take the hand up, don't go so low. Take the hand up, left hand up. Yeah. So what we're doing here is, instead of going deeper in the posture, I'm taking you a little out of the posture, a little less. And that'll help the body to relax a little bit more. Inhale, come up, please. And step the legs together, release your hands. So when I teach you, I'm also practicing the same thing, right? So I see when you go into a posture, I'm aware. I can make out where is the restriction. I can, because of my just my experience, I can make out where it's tight for you, where the restriction is, and sometimes I'll help you. I mean, first I'll become aware, and then I'll accept that that's how it is for you. That's how it is for Debbie, or that's how it is for Laura, or right hamstring is tight, or I can see that. And then I'll choose whether to even say anything or not. I may not even say anything. I'll just accept it and leave it at that. It's no correction. And sometimes, like I just did just now, I'll actually pull you back. I'll pull you back a little bit, so it helps you. It's not a correction, but I'm helping you release and relax. I'm helping that region relax even more. So that is my intention there, is to help your body to relax more and feel more comfortable. Yeah, which is not a correction, it's not a judgment, it's something that helps bring more ease to you, right? So as opposed to, oh no, her hand should be down, this is how it should be, and that, you see what I mean? It's like, so we have to have that same kind of attitude in our practice. When we correct, it's not really correction. It should be an act of love. It should be an act of bringing more peace and bringing more ease to yourself, rather than, it should be like this and let me push into that, it should be like that. That's different, And that's where usually, if we can develop that way of thinking, then that's not so much correction, that's actually contributing to somebody's well-being, and peace. That's where we want to go towards. Okay, and step your legs apart, please, hands apart. And have the brick next to your right leg. Laura, put the brick behind the right foot, because the props will help to relax the body a little bit. Point the right foot out Going into side angle pose, activate the left side, bend the right knee and release the right hand down, and release the left hand to your hip. Relax into it, left hand to your hip. And then practice that awareness. Of where your joints are, what are you feeling, where is the restriction or the obstacle? Practice the acceptance in the posture. And then if you apply any action, apply the action with the intention of bringing more steadiness and comfort in the posture. And ease in the posture. Good, and come up please. And do it on the other side on your own. Relax into it. It's up to you how you want to do the posture. With the right hand as well, up to you. And for awareness, a good practice is to be aware of your 12 major joints in every posture. Ankles, knees, hips, shoulders, elbows, and wrists. Inhale, come up please. Exhale, step your legs together, release your hands. Oftentimes, we're quick to form opinions and judgments, but awareness is the antidote for it. The more you are aware of the situation in front of you, including your own body, that takes you away from coming to a quick judgment or opinion about things. We're going to go into half moon, so step your legs apart and hands apart. And please place the brick behind the right foot, please, Laura. So we're going to use it. And go into triangle on the right side. This time put the hand on the brick, if that's available. Release the left hand to your hip. And bending your right knee, step the left foot towards the right foot, close to the right foot. And keep the right knee bent. Take the brick about a foot in front and slightly to your right. So take the brick slightly to the right, otherwise it will be hard to balance for you. Then before lifting, take the left shoulder back, come to your tippy toes on the left side. Keep the right knee bent and lift the left leg up as much as you can. Take the shoulder in line with the wrist. So take the body forward a bit, yes. Good. Release and come back up, please. If you're using one brick, take it to the other side. Sometimes, the reality is just the way it is. Like in this posture, you know that the lifted leg, eventually it comes in line with the hip. Yeah. Now that may not happen today at this moment for some reason. Whatever reason, we don't know. We don't need to get into it too deep. But the practice here is to just relax with that. It's okay. Accept. Just enjoy it anyway. Doesn't matter. Even though you know it should be a certain way. Okay? So try it on the other side, please. Go to triangle. Sometimes, yeah, the mind may know, but the reality may be different. And step up to half moon on this side. And release, please. And come out. Step your legs together. Release your hands. Samastiti. And step your legs apart, hands apart. Have the brick in front if you need. Be going into a wide leg standing forward fold. If your head doesn't touch the floor, then have the brick close to you. And pigeon toe your feet in a little bit. So the toes are in and heels are out. And relax your shoulders, relax your hips. And keep the hands in line with your shoulders. Relax the shoulders down. Now turn your palms up, look up. Exhale, relax the hip joint and bring your hands to the floor if that's available. Or use the brick if that's not available. Now in this posture, eventually your hands will be in between your feet in line with your heels and the wrists will be down. Okay, that's how the posture is in the half position. If you have restriction in the back of your hips and the back of your legs, that's going to be a challenge for you. So this is a good opportunity. If you notice that your wrists are not coming to the floor, then become aware of why that is. And that's because of the back of the legs and hips being tight, right? For whatever reason. Lengthen the sternum forward and accepting the fact that that area of your body is tight. It's restricting your movement. And then just staying in the half position, just use your exhalation and suggest for that area to relax and let go. So that's your action of love to take it to a more positive state, a more open state, in a gentle manner without pushing. So awareness, acceptance, and loving transformation. And inhale, come to the half position. Exhale, hands on your hips. Inhale, come up. So what would you say is the difference between what I just said, like a loving transformation, taking the body in a loving way to open? What is the difference between that and a judgment? What do you think is the difference? Can you share? What comes to mind?
It's a different feeling. It's more calming.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it felt different than wishing that I could do it all the way or something like some people, and it felt good actually. It felt like I could be more at ease doing it because I was not judging about it.
Yeah. More peaceful,
Yeah.
different feeling, more enjoyable, right?
Yeah.
And yet you could still eventually feel the opening, right? So you still got to the opening. It's the quality with which you do it. When you judge and say, "Oh, I should do it like this," and all of that, it brings like a little more, like sometimes you use aggression, right? And then force yourself into it, or you push, or it's also a little more kind of a negative space when you judge, right?
Mhm.
But when you do it from a positive place of love, it's a different feeling. Like you said, it's a different feeling altogether, right?
Yeah.
This is one is like um, um, the positive just feels much more comfortable, more easier, um, and just more joyful. And then and you still do the same thing. In fact, sometimes you can open even in a better way than if you were to do it. Not sometimes, actually, all the time. If you do it in a loving way, the the relationship that you develop with, even with your hamstring, for example, because it's done in a more positive, loving way, the hamstring will respond to that and let it go. It'll relax. So there's something about that that we don't really know why that is, but it is.
I feel like because if you're in more acceptance of where you are, then you're freer. Then you're really freer. You're accepting wherever it's painful, or you're not trying to get somewhere deeper. But since you're freer, the things loosen up more. They're not as tight and restricted, so you can actually go further.
The body responds like that. It's like even with people, there have been studies done with plants and everything, right? That if you shower them with positive energy, they respond to that. They they respond to that. And even human beings, we know that, even children and everything, right? They respond to that positive reinforcement, right? um, and that, as we know, is quite the opposite of judgment, right? Judgment is usually harsh. It's one thing if you make an observation and you notice something without any energy behind it, but judgment usually is an accompanying negative or harsh energy, that goes with it. So take that out, and replace it with a more loving, positive energy to create the transformation. Yeah. Laura, you have anything to share? Sorry, I was responding to Debbie on that, but she's there. You're okay? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So, and as I said, it's interesting to in the physical practice you can really do this well, and you can feel how the body responds. You can feel the difference between um, a loving action of self-love and a harsh action towards yourself in the posture, and how it feels doing one in the other. So yeah, let's continue with that. It's a nice place to experience and feel what we're talking about. Okay, we're going to go on.
I didn't hear you good.
I want you to do the variation to. You can't hear me?
I do now, but I didn't hear what you said. We're going to.
Hold on one sec. Let me check. Yeah. Okay. So, can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to go into downward dog, but let's do the variation where your heels are on the wall, just above the ledge, and your toes are on the floor. So sit down, come to tabletop on your hands and knees in front of the wall, please. Then move slightly forward so you can straighten one leg and bring the knees forward slightly. Knees on the floor, and bring the knees forward so you're able to straighten the one leg behind you. Yes, so it touches the wall when you do that. That's how you just measure the distance of how far your knees need to be. And then go up to downward dog from there. So the heels will be on the wall above the ledge, and the toes and the mounds of the toes will be on the floor. There'll be a slight gap between the wall and the mound of your toes, about 3 inches. Yeah. And here the weight will come a little more on your hands, so pay attention to how the weight is dropping in the roots of your fingers. You can look at your hands to help you with that. Try to ground the root of the index finger, straighten the arms, the elbows, internal rotation of the lower arms, external rotation of the upper arms, to widen the collarbones and take the shoulder blades down your back. Once again, just become aware of where you're feeling this posture. Accept. And the more positive state in the posture is one of more steadiness in the posture and more ease. So how can you go towards that? Good, and come down, please. And come up. Come back to your mat. And bring your chair to your mat. I think we've all done this posture. I showed it last time where it's a slight back bend. So if you have a bolster or bolster and brick, then place that in front of, under the seat of the chair. If you don't have, it's fine. You can, so it's for the head. So Laura, can you pull the Yeah, so both of you pull the prop slightly away from under. So bring it closer to where your knee is, Laura. Yeah, there. Good. And Debbie, put a brick on top of that bolster. Yes, and take the bolster back. Pull it back a little more. Pull it back, yes. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Now you're going to sit with your legs through the chair and facing, no, come on the chair. So take your legs through the back of the chair. And we did this last time. It's a back bend, remember? I showed it to you, I think. Yeah, and then go forward. Take your hips forward as much as you can. Yes, and take your feet under your knees. Yeah, feet on the floor in line with the knees. And take your hips forward as much as you can, and you're going to hold the top of the chair and lean back and put your back on the chair and hold the chair. Don't release the chair. And your hips forward even more. So the shoulder blade is on the lower part of the shoulder blade is on the chair. And feet in line with your knees. So Debbie, take the feet slightly forward. Don't come out, just move the feet forward slightly. Yes. Now with the lower part of the shoulder blades on the chair, you're still holding the front. Now release your head back, and you're going to go into back bend there, lifting the upper back is going to open a little bit. Still keep the shoulder blade on the chair in the beginning. Don't let it drop yet. It doesn't matter if the head doesn't come down on the brick. It's not important. Opening the upper back here. And now you can slide the torso back a bit so you come off the shoulder blade and it'll come more towards just below the shoulder blades. So Debbie, take your torso back a little bit. Now don't come up, just slide back. Don't come up. Slide back. You take your hands lower and then release the head more. This time maybe come closer to the brick. We're opening the upper back here. And here the body is in a different direction. Where do you feel it? You will feel it in a whole different place. Just be aware of that. Try to relax. Good. And to come up, pull with your hands, lift the chest up, and the head comes up last. And then take the hips back on the chair. Yeah, that's good. And then place your elbows on the chair. Look in the same direction, please. Elbows on the chair and place your palms on your face. Cover your eyes. Just stay there. Just relax there. And in a back bend, usually, there is a responsive little bit of, fear usually. That's how the mind usually responds in a back bend. And did you have that when you went into the posture to any degree? Was there a little bit of, oh, is this okay for me, or am I going to something? Yeah, it's just even that. right now we've been focusing more on the body, but if you look at the mind, also being aware of what's going on in the mind, right? So in a back bend like that, usually to varying degrees, usually the mind will go into some little bit of fear in some way. And or not, maybe not, but again, then it's a deeper awareness. It's a deeper awareness of oh, this is what the mind is thinking. We don't know why, what the reason is, and it's not important, but that's what the mind came up with. And just accepting that, okay, there is a little bit of anxiety or fear or, some of that. And just like the body, we want to bring the mind to a more steady and comfortable place. So the positive transformation is to help the mind come to a more steady and comfortable place. So how do you do that? You can reinforce a positive quality, like no, it's going to be fine, no problem, and just trust. For example, the quality of trust will help to diffuse the quality of fear or anxiety. So again, you are replacing a negative with a positive. Yeah. And that is the process of awareness, acceptance, and transformation done with more positive or loving energy. Okay. We are going into headstand now. And Laura, I wanted to ask you, I thought last time I saw you do headstand, you did the tripod headstand with the palms on the floor, right?
I didn't really think about it. I just did it that way, but I can do it the other way.
Yeah, because I think the previous time I saw you doing it like this, right? This one? Yeah, that one on the
That
floor.
one.
Yes, yeah.
That I can do
Right?
that one.
Yeah, because tripod is a little more, it can aggravate the neck more,
Okay.
This one is more, this one like this is more supportive for the neck.
Sure.
So if you could do that, that would be better because tripod, you don't usually stay for too long in it.
Okay.
Yeah, but this one we can stay a little longer. And for this class, I think the regular headstand is better. And I'd like you to do it against closer to the wall.
Okay.
Just so there's that psychological support because we're working on specific things, Okay, so set up for headstand. Take your time going into it. Try to go through the stages and make sure that the arms are steady when you go up. The foundation is in the arms. So make sure that no, that's correct. Laura, that direction was correct where you were. Yes. Yeah. You can use the support of the wall if you need to go up. And first, try to come to a steady and relaxed place, even if your feet are on the wall. That's fine. Then if you're trying to go towards balance, do it in a relaxed way. Feet together, Debbie. Feet should not be apart like that. Yeah, you won't find the balance. It'll take you off balance. Necks of the big toes touching. And wherever you are in this posture, be aware first. And maybe it's hard for you to balance today. Just accept that. It's okay. Relax in that acceptance. And then come down slowly. Rest in child's pose, forehead on the floor. When you come down from child's headstand, immediately rest in child's pose, please. Headstand has some safety prerequisites, so that's why I instruct immediately if I see something is not as safe as it should be, in the interest of keeping you safe. Press the forehead on the floor to relax, to activate the back of the neck. Relax it. And release. Come up, please. So in a posture like headstand, you can, the mental aspect, kind of physical aspect too, of course, that's present, but the mind, will say something. It'll keep thinking something. So it helps you to become more aware of, on a subtler level, what the thought patterns are. In headstand too, there is a natural tendency for some amount of anxiety or fear to accompany it, because we are in completely something the opposite of what we know, standing, right? So that is quite normal. Sometimes there's a little bit of fear or anxiety, and once you're there in the posture, and because it's a subtle posture, you're trying to find that balance, and sometimes the balance comes, sometimes it doesn't, right? So then what's the reaction of the mind to that? Is the mind relaxed and accepting of the reality? Or is it like, no, I have to be able to balance today at whatever cost, And it's just, I did it yesterday, I have to do it, So it's like, how can you relax in the acceptance, right? Just relax in the awareness that it's different. Every time it's different in headstand. Every time you do it, it's different. It depends on so many factors that we don't know about. So being aware of the reality of things, right? That things change. It's not one thing. The nature of life, that there's lots of changes, lots of factors that influence everything. And being aware of it, being accepting of it. And once you do that, your mind will relax a bit. And when the mind relaxes, then you can go towards balance, for example, And if you go towards balance from there, you're going from a more positive, relaxed state. And it's more likely that you'll get the balance. Whereas if you go from a place of, oh, I did it yesterday, this should work, I should be able to do it, and you go like that, it's actually less effective. It's not as likely that you will come to that place of balance as it is when you relax the mind through the acceptance and awareness. You understand what I'm saying? Right? So it's this process, it's the same process of what we're talking about, judgment and the practice of awareness, as opposed to a practice of awareness, acceptance, and loving transformation. It would look like, oh, I did this yesterday, right? I have to do it. That's judgment. What's wrong with me? Why can't I do it? That's judgment. And coming from that negative kind of feeling, whereas, yeah, things change every day. I may have done it yesterday, but today's different, and it's okay. That's fine. That's just how it is. And relaxing there, and then, okay, let me try it. If it happens, good. It's not. If it doesn't, it's okay. You see, there's a big difference between the two, right? Yeah. Okay. So let's go into just a reclining. Actually, no, just sit there in a comfortable situation. Let's just do a counter to headstand with the chin lock. So lift your sternum up. Lift your sternum and then take your chin forward and drop your chin towards the sternum and lift your sternum up towards the chin. Breathe normally here. This is an energy lock. So Debbie, if you can take your chin down more. Yeah. It'll also open the back of the neck, but it's also an energy lock in headstand. The energy moves from the legs to the head. Here, you're moving it down from the throat down to the pelvis. So it's an energetic counter to headstand, which is important. Good, and release, lift your chin up, release, and lie down in Supta Baddha Konasana. Lie down on your mat with your feet, soles of your feet together, knees apart. And we're moving towards the final posture of Shavasana, relaxing. So in this posture, which is already passive, we begin to move towards Shavasana, relaxing the physical body. Relaxing your effort, relaxing your thoughts and your breath. Good, and then bring your knees together and straighten, tuck your tailbone to lengthen the low back, and straighten your legs to lie down in Shavasana. And continue to relax the muscles away from your bones. Release your breath, release your actions, your effort. And as you lie down here, just reflect on your practice today. Whatever comes up to your mind. And once again, just practice awareness of the physical, mental, and emotional layers in the practice in general today. Acceptance of mind, effort, all that. Just acknowledging and being in gratitude for what you did. In a state of contentment. Kerith, whenever you're ready, you could join us, please. And lead us into Havdalah.
זרענו וכספנו יהיה בכחול, והכוכבים בלילה. שבוע טוב, 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 שבוע טוב. A good week, a week of peace. May gladness reign and joy increase. A good week, a week of peace. May gladness reign and joy increase. Shavua Tov, everybody. So nice to see you. Amit, thank you so much for leading us.
Welcome.
Debbie, thank you for holding the space as well.
I hope you feel better. Yeah.
Thank you.
Very
Yeah, thanks, Laura. Thanks, Debbie. Kerith, hope you
Thank
feel
you.
better.
Feel
Scott.
better.
Amit, hi.
Bye.
It seemed there was a bluebird that just flew up here and demanded a peanut.
No, but there was a bird that
There was a
came
bird
and sat outside the window and watched in while I was leading Havdalah. It was very funny.
Yeah, I sent him over there. Or Okay. Hope you feel better. Bye, everyone.
Bye bye.
Bye.